I hope the fake cops police aren't here. Thank you, Lynchburg! Thank you for coming out to support comedy in Lynchburg! A town not traditionally known for comedy! I mean, we all see the tomfoolery that takes place in living in Lynchburg, don't we? So it's not that Lynchburg isn't funny, it just may not know that it is. So when I moved here, as my bio stated, thank you, Neil Toasty, everybody, another round of applause for him. Talk about phenomenal locals here. We got his mama here tonight too.
Hello.
Little cutie. Hello.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. When I first moved here from Atlanta, I wanted to continue doing stand-up. It's a great way to meet people. I mean, you guys saw the team we got tonight. It's a great way to continue to do creative things and, you know, just stay up to date with performing, which I love to do. But there wasn't a lot of options, as you guys know, right? You guys packed this shit out tonight. The one comedy club, they could not keep the tickets, right? Tab, you're not here. But if Tab were here, she would say, yeah, oh good. Oh, boo, Kathleen, I love that. I already have my first heckler! Oh my God! Thanks, Kate. It's a friend, but that's okay. You gotta keep your enemies closer, am I right?
That's
She had a little screen that said boo, Kathleen on it, just for you guys at the other end of the L. But we could not keep the tickets for tonight because there hasn't been a ton of opportunities for comedy. And so I thought I would be smart. A couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, I thought I'd be smart and do a talent show. It was not. Not a good idea. But it was funny, right? Like Lynchburg. I didn't know what way it was gonna be funny, but it was funny. I'll tell you about it. So it was funny because as the only comedian, they put me right behind a preciously 19-year-old singer-songwriter, Christian singer-songwriter. Madison was beautiful, but she moved the audience to tears right before me with her rendition of Washed in His Blood. Audience was moved to tears, and then I had to come and do jokes. So no more talent shows, but I did make my friend Michelle back there who could whistle. They put the weirdos at the end. They're like, comedy and whistling next. So, that's all right. Madison did a beautiful job. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying it was really hard to do comedy after that. But tonight, that's all in the past. Yeah. Because tonight, we're bringing comedy to Lynchburg. Woo! Hell yeah, we are. It's a super special night for comedy in Lynchburg, but it's also a super special night for me as a storyteller. Because ultimately, I like to think of the majority of my set as stories about my life. My life is a joke, so it's funny. You know what I mean? But it's also special because of y'all have seen throughout the night, my parents are all here from hot damn Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
No. Anybody else from Alabama around here tonight? Raise your hand.
No, yeah, we're the only ones.
Somebody? Anybody else from Alabama?
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, are you from Alabama?
Roll Tide anyway.
Are you an Auburn or an Alabama fan?
Alabama. Roll Tide.
Alabama fan. Well, that's why I always say, you know, why do people hate me for being gay when they can hate me for being an Alabama fan? One of those is way more annoying. That's just me.
Right.
Back to me, though. I wasn't born a joke. But I was born a Florida man story. If that makes sense. different. It's like Scottish-Irish. It's born a Florida man story. I was born during a hurricane in Florida on 9/11. Not that 9/11. Calm down. That was my golden birthday. Wasn't it?
It was.
My mom walked me to school hand in hand to little St. Anne's School in Decatur, Alabama. And we were walking hand in hand. She's like, baby, do you know what today is? No. My birthday? Yes, good job. But also, it's your golden birthday. It's going to be the happiest day of your whole life. Had a hard start in the morning. But my birth 9/11. My birth 9/11 is the one where I was swapped at birth. But don't freak out. Just for a minute. They swapped me back. Have you ever been born remarkably memorable? Well, not me. I was just born a tiny baby lamb barge at 11 pounds and 22 inches long.
That's true.
So I was born pretty memorable. Physically. And after you had me, they went and they cleaned the blood and guts off or whatever. And then they bring the baby back. And so my mom was waiting right there, much like she is right now. And they brought back this tiny little nothing baby.
That bitty baby, little bitty baby.
Little bitty baby, stupid, what, 6 pounds?
Right.
Loser.
Right.
Right?
That's not my baby.
Yeah, that was just a calf. I was a Kathleen, you know what I'm saying? So they hand her this little tiny baby and she's like,
Right?
I have a question. Real quick, sorry, doctor. Sorry. I know you're very busy, so sorry. Could you check? Sorry, I don't want to be rude. And see if this was not, in fact, my baby. And they're like, what? Well, it was an 11-pounder. Well, you know what? We'll be silly and we'll just go double check. And turns out it was not me. She sent that shit right on back to the kitchen. Like an undercooked plate of chicken, right? Give me my baby back! Roll time! Yeah. I said, I'm gonna go over to Decatur, Alabama and take me back. We eventually moved to Alabama after Florida. Which reminds me, I was born a traditional Catholic redneck
Yes.
Puerto Rican
Yes.
from
Irish.
rural Alabama.
Irish.
You know, just a very sort of traditional way to be brought up. Did you have something to say?
Puerto Rican Irish.
Puerto Rican and Irish, what can you do? You know? She was like a Catholic superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy though. It was actually very wild growing up. We had 31 first cousins on one side.
Yeah.
But don't worry, I'm not going to tell those other two
Thank you.
stories.
Yeah. Thank you.
Unless you have, we talked about.
Well, download.
Okay, right. Keep it in the family. That don't leave the 256. Just the beginning to my number, if you have it. It's a very funny joke. So I grew up with 31 first cousins on one side there. It was a beautiful existence, for sure. I had 6 uncles that looked like George Lopez and sounded like Larry the Cable Guy, so it was mindfuck all the time. Very confusing. Also a very dated-ass joke. Right? Thank you, Gen Zs, for pretending to laugh over it. That's all that work. Yeah, this guy right here is like, whoever the fuck. Yeah, Kathleen, for sure. George Lopez had a show. And a very successful stand-up career. I'll send you some pictures.
And who's the Larry the Cable Guy? Who is he?
Exactly. Who are those guys? But I left those jokes in, one, because I love them, and they're some of my only OG jokes that I'm bringing over into this brand new set for you ladies and gentlemen tonight. But 2, because I want to give a shout out to my millennials in the crowd. Alright, who's a millennial out here in this crowd? Alright. Where were you on 9/11? I'm just playing. Unless you need to talk about it. Oh, you know? Where were you on 9/11?
I was in Mr.
It was geometry class with Mr. Fielder, and we watched it, And then he turned it off and goes, people, we need to get back to geometry. So I missed it.
Oh, you missed 9/11.
Well, we'll tell you about it with him later. We're talking about Georgia Buckets.
I like you.
What's your name?
Savannah.
Do you have any nicknames?
Seiko.
That's a cool nickname.
What was that?
Seiko.
Seiko.
Well,
or Seiko?
I don't have a nickname.
I wouldn't allow it.
Do you want to know why? Because when I was in kindergarten, a little girl didn't know how to say my name. She came up to me as a representative of all the other little girls because I was tall. And she said, "Can we call you Katie? Because we don't know how to say your name." And I said, "Let me ask my mom. She's very opinionated." And I go home and I say, "Mom, Ashley at school wants to call me Katie because my name is very hard to say, and she would like for everyone to call me Katie." And she goes, "Well, you tell Ashley." Y'all seen her? You tell Ashley.
Yeah.
If I wanted your name to be Katie, I would have named you Katie.
Yes. You're
I said-
Kathleen.
I said, "Can you tell her?"
Kathleen.
Yes, exactly. Really taking to the stand-up bit tonight.
Are
You might
you?
come after it. We might get you to move up here. Do stand-up. The first comedian that I ever had the pleasure of meeting was my granddaddy Bob. Granddaddy Bob was as hilarious as his silly name was. I was always in awe of him because one, he didn't have a voice box. So he sounded a lot like Cookie Monster. And as a kid, that's a flex. That's very cool. To sound like Cookie Monster and have a granddaddy Bob that sounds like Cookie Monster. But two, because as a person who had the laryngectomy surgery, he had no voice box, but could always make people laugh until they cried. And that's a true fact, as Tim was saying live. These are all true stories. They're just the ones I got approved to tell y'all. So where was I?
Laryngectomy.
Granddaddy Bob.
Yes.
That voice.
So the second thing about him that I always respected, like I said, was the fact that he didn't have a voice box, but he could always make people laugh. But who did have a voice box for sale was Spencer's Gifts.
Woo!
And no one loved to play pranks more than your very own Granddaddy Bob. So the two were truly a happy couple together. But side note, y'all know I love history. I looked up Spencer's Gifts just to make sure that this was really potentially what happened. And did you know Spencer's Gifts was started in 1947? I'm pretty sure I didn't click any further, but that's what the top guy said. And I'm not really trying anymore. I'm like, what do you think, AI? Great, too. Me too. So he loves Spencer's Gifts, and one day he realized he didn't have a voice box, but he was going to let them help. So I don't know if y'all remember, but Spencer's used to sell this voice box that was remote control, right? Wireless. You could be like 40 feet away. Savannah's already peeing her dress laughing. She knows. Savannah's got a voice box like this at home, 100%. So cow! Was that your nickname? Psycho. Seiko. So, Granddaddy Bob one day comes home with this remote-activated, offensive-ass voice box that when you press the button from one corner of the room, a box would say something disgusting in the other part of the room. Like, "Fuck you, man!" Or a woman's voice, like, "You're an ass!" Right? It was different voices. And you would press the button and it would just be hilarious. It was 2001. You wouldn't get it. It was very funny.
In a conversion van.
Yes. So, Granddaddy Bob was always selfless. And so he took this show on the road. And by on the road, I mean in his Winnebago, which is the official van of all Granddaddy Bobs everywhere. And he would take me with him too, which I was very excited about. You all are getting to benefit from that tonight. He would take me and the Winnebago, and we would go down to the Kroger's parking lot, which is plural, by the way. How many Krogers? Multi. Always Krogers. All the Southern moms are like, yeah. Yeah. Kroger's, Winnebago, Granddaddy Bob. We would be in a parking spot. 2002, right? No, before then. 1999. It was 9 or 10. And we would play this amazing game where I would sit in the front seat, he would sit in the driver's seat, and we would wait for someone to park next to him. See where I'm going with this? He would set the speaker box, and he would roll down that window. Cars used to roll as a window. I would roll that thing down. He'd be like, oh, you see that? Oh, I see it. I see him. And the person would get out of their car, going to Kroger's. I would press that speaker box, and we would both hear, "Fuck you, man!" Granddaddy Bob would stick his head out of the Winnebago and say, "Who said that? Who said that?" And I was a kid, so it wasn't either of us. Yeah. But, speaking of who said that, it's very important to know that a large portion of my personality as a child revolved around the song "Who Let the Dogs Out" by because I do love that song, and I do love the Bahamas. I loved them as a kid, growing up, very obsessed with the Bahamas. I took that song personally, and it was my mission to discover who let the dogs out. So much so that when I heard on the radio, WZYP, what's up, Decatur, Alabama, on WZYP, that a millennial dream was occurring in 2001. Matchbox 20, 3 doors down, and who? The Bahamas! We're coming to me, Huntsville, Alabama, the Bahamas! All you had to do was listen to WZYP for 72 hours. And get all these weird little random questions right, and you could go see the Bahamas and whoever the hell Matchbox 20 and 3 doors down were. Lasers? No songs about dogs, I'll tell you that much. So you know me, I'm crazy and like to be good at specific things, so I won that shit. And the person working at the radio station was like, "Are you absolutely 18 years older? Because you sound absolutely 9. And I was like, "I am, I'm just sick." Yeah, it was me the whole time. So, I get the tickets. I'm going to see the fucking Bahamas. Till hell froze over, and by that I mean Huntsville, Alabama had a snowstorm. Saying the concert gets canceled. My mom, before she was the EO of the Greater Morgan County Builders Association, worked at Channel 48 News and was an executive producer there, produced the Noon at 5. So, this is all important. It is random, but you will need all of it to understand the joke later. So I'm just gonna say it all, like bullet points. That's all you need to know? Yes. Okay. So, fast forward to the next day. I'm in class at my boring Catholic school in Nowhere, Alabama. And I hear over the intercom as if it is the angels themselves. Kathleen Davis, both your parents work a lot of jobs, so there's no way you're being checked out right now, but yes, you are. I was being checked out right then. So I walk down the steps, I'm like, I'm never getting checked out. This is very cool, very cool. And I go down to the area where I see other children check out. And they're like, nope, you're good. Just walk out that door right there. So I'm like, okay, sure. And I walk out, bust the doors open. What do I see? A limo.
Nice.
I open the door. It's a fucking Baja Man!
Ooh, that's a dog.
Limo waiting for me! I walked in and I said, and it was the 90s, so my mom didn't even come. She had to work. Me and the fucking Baja Man in the limo! Driving back to Huntsville to go to 48 News again where they were being interviewed. They had stayed even though the show was canceled. And my mom said, please, my daughter is your biggest fan. And they rode in a limo to come and pick me up from school. And as a fun little side mission, I set a picture of it over here. So in case you don't believe me, that's me with the Baja Man! And I know what you're wondering. They did tell me who let the dogs out. But you'll just have to wait for your mom to send the limo full of them to pick you up to know. Yep. You know, side note, circling back to earlier. Stereotypes are kind of bullshit, don't you think?
Yes.
I told y'all earlier, I went to University of Alabama, and I bet none of y'all bitches were wondering what sorority I was in.
805. 805.
Yeah. Not only was I in a sorority in college, I was in a sorority in high school.
Yeah. Drug club, drug club, drug club.
My mom was also in a drug club, which was the not gay title of our not gay sorority, drug.
Right. Just us girls, though.
Not gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Just us girls, so it stood for. Because it used to stand for justice, unity, and gaiety. Guess what rumors started? So they said, like,
Right?
this can't be gay anymore. We're gonna name it Just Us Girls.
Right. Just as you get. Right. You're right.
So you can't say I didn't try, is what I'm trying to say. No one tried harder than me.
Yes.
Thank you. I had a great time being in Aopide, Alabama.
Woo!
Met some of my best friends. I had a wonderful time. Hated the dicks. Hated that part. They hated me too. It was, we both just looking at each other having a terrible time. I root for dicks. I really do. I just could, you know. I hope they're doing okay. I'm 17 years clean, but I root for them. You know what I'm saying? Which leads me into my next joke, which is hard to say in front of my parents. You know? It's got the word jizz in it. And it makes me nervous. So I'm just gonna tell it to you all.
La 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 la.
So when I worked at the University of Alabama, I had many jobs, as will surprise no one in this room. And one of my jobs was I worked at a girls' dorm. Another job was I worked at a boys' dorm. And then some hours came up for me to work at a co-ed dorm. Natural progression, one might say. And I was what was referred to as a DA. I still am. But then it meant desk assistant. Now it means something different. I was a desk assistant at different dorms, and so I signed up for the extra hours because that $6.25 wasn't gonna make itself, am I right? Just getting that bread. So I start my first shift at a co-ed dorm, and I am leaving, and the guy that I'm relieving passes me, and he goes, "First time in a co-ed dorm." And I was like, "Yeah, how did you know?" And he was like, "It's terrible here. You're gonna hate it. Bye." And leaves. And I'm like, I have never been more prepared for a role. I did one half and I did the other. I'm ready for this job. As a DA, I'm gonna be the best DA anyone's ever met. So, y'all know college kids, they don't really call a lot. So while there's a desk phone, it never got rang, ever. I never had to answer that, any other dorm I worked at. In the first 10 minutes at this dorm, the phone rings. And I'm like, oh God, what should I do? Because millennials also hated that too. We actually kind of invented hating it. Sorry. And so the phone's ringing, I answer it. Front desk! Kathleen speaking, paid residence, I don't know. And I answer it, and it's kind of quiet for a little bit, maybe even a full uncomfortable minute. Front desk! Hey, sorry, I live in Bergholm, and I was too nervous to come down and say this to your face. I'm thinking, yeah, we're both nervous right now, buddy. What? Lay it on me, what is it? And she's like, shh, I know, hold on. I think someone's jizzing. That's not what I heard. I'm sorry, what? I think someone's jizzing on my door. That sounded a lot like the first one I heard. I'll ask her again. I'm sorry, ma'am, could you say into the receiver, which is what I'm on, that one more time? I think someone's jizzing on my door! What? You think someone's jizzing on your door? Yes! Can you come up and look and see what you think? What? Desk assistant, not jizz door knower! So I go upstairs. Shit, what are you doing? Fire for the course, I guess. Come on, dorms. Go up. She's just standing there. I'll join her. Walk up. Smear marks. I just look at her and I said, darling, that door sure is washed in his jizz.